There is a specific kind of exhaustion that defines the modern era. It isn't just physical tiredness from a long day at work. It is a spiritual exhaustion. It is the deep, gnawing sense that you are running a race where the finish line is being actively moved away from you. You feel it when you look at the price of steak at the grocery store. You feel it when you look at a house listing that costs 10 times your annual salary, a house your grandfather bought for twice his annual salary. You feel it when you realize that despite all the smartphones, the AI, the internet, and the efficiency of the modern world, you are working longer hours for less security than a single-income postman had in 1950. We are told this is normal. We are told that's just inflation, as if inflation is a weather pattern, something that just happens, like rain or snow. But what if I told you that this exhaustion wasn't natural? What if I told you that the modern struggle was engineered? Not by a secret cabal of shadowy figures in robes, but by bureaucrats in suits in a specific room on a specific weekend. It wasn't an accident. It was a heist. And the victim of that heist was your time, your labor, and your children's future. To understand why you can't save money today, we have to open the ledger of history. We have to go back to the scene of the crime. Sunday, August 15th, 1971. But to understand why that date matters, we first have to understand what money actually is. Or rather, what it used to be. Because for 5,000 years, money was not a promise. It was a proof. Throughout history, humans gravitated toward gold and silver not because they were shiny, but because they were honest. Gold is the ultimate auditor. No king, no emperor, and no president can print gold. To get more of it, you have to bleed for it. You have to dig it out of the earth. This physical reality placed a golden handcuff on government power. If Rome wanted to conquer Gaul, they had to have the gold to pay the legions. If they didn't have the gold, they couldn't fight. It was a natural check on tyranny and reckless spending. After the chaos of World War II, the victors met at a place called Bretton Woods. They wanted to build a financial system that would prevent another Great Depression and another World War. They came up with a brilliant, if flawed, solution. The United States controlled 2/3 of the world's gold at that time. So, the world agreed. The US dollar would be the global reserve currency. Every other currency would be pegged to the dollar. And the dollar would be anchored to gold at a fixed rate of $35 per ounce. This meant that the paper in your pocket was essentially a warehouse receipt. It was a claim check. At any time, foreign central banks could walk up to the window at the US Treasury, hand over paper dollars, and demand cold, heavy, yellow bars of gold in return. This redeemability kept the system honest. The US government couldn't simply print trillions of dollars to pay for things, because if they printed more paper than they had gold, the world would notice. The world would cash in the chips. The vault would empty. This period, from 1944 to 1971, was the golden age of the American middle class. It wasn't a coincidence. When money is sound, savings retain value. You could put $100 in a savings account, leave it there for 10 years, and when you came back, it bought more than when you put it in. Today, saving cash is a guaranteed way to lose wealth. But back then, the currency respected your labor. But politicians are addicted to spending. By the mid-1960s, the United States government found the golden handcuffs too tight. They wanted to fight a massive, expensive war in Vietnam to stop communism. Simultaneously, they wanted to launch the Great Society, massive social welfare programs at home. This policy was called guns and butter. They wanted it all, but they didn't have the gold to pay for it. So, they cheated. They began printing dollars that were not backed by gold. They issued more claim checks than there was gold in the warehouse. They were essentially counterfeiting their own currency, banking on the arrogance that no one would call their bluff. They thought the world needed the dollar so badly that nobody would dare check the vault. They were wrong. The French were the first to do the math. President Charles de Gaulle, a man who cared deeply about national sovereignty, looked at the mountain of dollars flooding into Europe and looked at the US gold reserves. He realized the Americans were running a Ponzi scheme. He famously declared that the US was enjoying an exorbitant privilege, buying the world as resources with paper that cost nothing to print. France didn't just send a polite letter, they sent the Navy. They loaded ships with paper dollars, sailed them to New York, and demanded their gold. Then other nations followed, Switzerland, Spain. The trickle became a flood. The gold was hemorrhaging out of Fort Knox. The US gold supply dropped from over 20,000 tons to under 9,000 tons. The Treasury was bleeding to death. By August 1971, the game was up. The United States had mere weeks of gold left before they would have to declare bankruptcy. President Richard Nixon summoned his top economic advisors to a secret meeting at Camp David. They met in total secrecy. No press, no leaks. For an entire weekend, the fate of the global economy hung in the balance. Nixon had two choices. Choice A was the honest correction. He could have admitted the U.S. spent too much. He could have raised interest rates to 20%, cut government spending by 50%, and triggered a massive recession. This would have been painful, but it would have saved the dollar's link to gold. It would have preserved the truth. Choice B was the default. He could simply break the promise. He could tell the world that the claim checks were now worthless. He could sever the link between money and reality. He chose the lie. On Sunday night, interrupting the popular show Bonanza, Nixon addressed the nation. He spoke with the smooth confidence of a politician. He blamed international speculators. He claimed he was protecting the American job market. And then he delivered the kill shot. He said he was directing the Secretary of the Treasury to suspend, temporarily, the convertibility of the dollar into gold. Temporarily. It has been over 50 years. That temporary measure became the permanent state of our existence. In that moment, the entire world shifted from sound money to fiat money. Fiat is a Latin word that means let it be done. It is money by decree. It has value only because the government says it does, and because you go to jail if you don't pay your taxes in it. Most Americans went to bed that Sunday night thinking nothing had changed. The dollar in their wallet looked the same. It felt the same. But the soul of the currency had been ripped out. Before 1971, the government had to tax you to take your money. After 1971, they could simply print new money, which diluted the value of the money you already had. They gained the power of the invisible tax. The immediate aftermath was chaos. The 1970s saw stagflation. Prices soared, gas lines formed around the block, interest rates hit 18%. But eventually the system stabilized into the debt-based economy we have today. And this is where the story turns from a history lesson into a crime investigation against your personal wealth. Look at this chart. This is the smoking gun. This is the evidence of the theft. Before 1971, if the country got more efficient, you got paid more. As workers produced more, their wages rose in lockstep. But the moment the gold window closed, the link was broken. For the last 50 years, American workers have become incredibly productive. You use computers, email, software, AI. You do the work of 5 people from the 1950s. But your real wages, adjusted for the cost of living, have barely budged. Where did the trillions of dollars of created wealth go? It didn't vanish. It was transferred. It flowed into the hands of those who own assets, stocks, real estate, bonds. This is known as the Cantillon Effect. When the government prints new money, it doesn't drop it from helicopters into your front yard. It gives it to the big banks and financial institutions. They get the money first, while it is still fresh and valuable. They use it to buy up houses and stocks. By the time that money circulates down to you in your paycheck, prices have already risen to reflect the new money supply. You get the inflation, they get the wealth. This is why housing is unaffordable. It's not because there are too many people. It's not because we forgot how to build houses. It is because houses have ceased to be places to live and have become stores of value. When money is trash, smart people buy hard assets to protect themselves. Wall Street firms, pension funds, and billionaires are parking their melting dollars into residential real estate, bidding up the price of your potential home, turning the American dream into a rental subscription model. The 1971 shift fundamentally changed our morality. It changed our culture. In a world of sound money, the highest virtue is thrift, saving, patience. You work hard, you save gold, you pass it to your children. In a world of fiat money, saving is stupidity. If you save cash, you are losing 3, 4, maybe 7% of your purchasing power every year. The system punishes savers and rewards debtors. So, what do? We borrow. We borrow to buy cars. We borrow to go to college. We borrow to buy houses we can't afford. The entire economy is built on a foundation of debt that can never be repaid. The national debt is now so high that it is mathematically impossible to pay it off without printing more money, which causes more inflation, which requires more debt. It is a doom loop, a spiral. This is the financial error our channel is named after. The error of believing that you can print prosperity. The error of believing that paper is wealth. The error of trusting politicians with the value of your labor. But here is the good news. The ledger can be balanced. Not by the government. They will never fix this, because the system is working exactly as they intended. It works for them. The ledger can be balanced by you. You can choose to opt out of the 1971 experiment. You can choose to convert your labor not into melting paper, but into assets that have stood the test of time. There is a reason central banks around the world are buying gold at record rates right now. China, Russia, India, even European central banks. They are stacking gold bars faster than at any time in the last 50 years. Do you think they know something you don't? They know the fiat experiment is nearing its end. They are preparing for the reset. They are looking at the math, and the math says the dollar cannot hold forever. The robbery happened in 1971, but the crime is still in progress. Every day you hold your life savings in fiat currency, you are being slowly bled. You are the victim of a silent theft. But unlike a mugging in an alley, you have the power to walk away. You have the power to be your own central bank. This channel isn't about getting rich quick. It's about not getting poor slowly. It's about correcting the error. In the coming videos, we will explore the specific strategies the old money families use to survive currency collapses. We will talk about silver, the most undervalued asset on Earth. We will talk about land. We will talk about the mindset of the sovereign individual. The system is rigged, but it is only a trap if you don't know how it works. Now, I am the auditor, and class is dismissed.